Hello, you're joining me on my dog walk this morning because I realised that when we talk about things like Dutch testing and estrogen dominance, quite a lot of time you will hear people talking about estrogen detoxing. And I wanted to actually tell you what that means. So when we do something like a Dutch test, we are actively looking for markers which show us how your body detoxes estrogen. So what does that actually mean? Okay, well, when it comes to detoxing our hormones, that's done by our liver. Our liver does a huge amount of our detoxing work, doesn't it? And the liver works in phases. And in phase 1 and phase 2, its job is to break down hormones like estrogen. Now, it then, when it's breaking down estrogen, it has sort of 3 pathways that it can choose to put estrogen down. And the reason for why it will choose where to put our estrogen can be dependent on a lot of things, including diet, lifestyle factors, and whether or not we have got the right biochemistry in our body to create the right sort of split of where it puts our estrogen in its detox pathway. That's why you hear influencers and coaches, people like me, talking about various supplements, because it can force the liver into sort of nudge it into a different detox pathway. So those detox pathways are really important. And when we do something like a Dutch test, the Dutch test actually gives us a pie chart of where your liver is putting its estrogen in a detox pathway. And these are called, they've got long names, but I'm going to break it down. We refer to them as the OH pathways. So there's the 3 of them. So the 2-OH pathway is linked to, if you're not detoxing sort of effectively through your 2-OH pathway, then it can lead to things like PMS. We've got the 4-OH pathway. Now this is considered the most toxic pathway. This pathway, if it's not working effectively, can actually damage our DNA, and this is being linked to elevated predispositions to things like breast cancers. Then we have our 16-OH pathway, and the 16-OH pathway, if that's not working effectively, can lead to more things like endometriosis and fibroids. So it's really, really important when we have a woman who is considering using HRT, for example, or who has a history of using the contraceptive pill, or who's having a really bad perimenopause, or who has a history of things like endometriosis, fibroids, that we check where their detox pathways are at, how they're working, and then supplement and look at diet in accordance to make sure that the ratio of how their liver is breaking down their estrogen is safe. Because what we don't want to do is take someone who isn't detoxing their estrogen effectively and then, shove them on HRT without knowing this information. Because then if you're adding estrogen into a system that's not detoxing estrogen effectively, then all hell can let loose. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about detoxing estrogen. And this is why I now believe that everybody considering HRT or who has a history of using contraceptive hormonal contraception, really a Dutch test is the most effective way to see how their body is breaking down their hormones and detoxing them.